CJ. Yeah, what we talking about? 94 feet, crossover bodies dropping J's up. Players this elite, your shots on body blocking halftime. Yeah. We break it down, we gon' call your bluff, it's past time. You recognize, boy, press. We got the heat down in Florida with the keys. Guess we the best. Magic, we flash with them fans listen, won't see the best. Show rides from the airwaves like all stars in them stairways. Local rockin', we not stopping, got hot topics like every day. Them trades hit that deadline. My team chasing the big range, we ball, check that headline. Don't mess it up when you pick teams, the only station giving y'all that info with that real talk. Don't be trying to contest it, go toe to toe and get wheeled off. We shooting from deeper than that report from the bleachers. If you ain't on your game, then we got something to teach you. Tie your laces up, might get shook up out of them sneakers. That triple threat, bless your eardrum straight out of your speakers. Go from that black top to the hardwood, locker room to that press day. Got the scoop on them contracts, new prospects and best plays. NBA defined by the grind, in between the lines, full court pressing, finessing, read the signs. What we talking about? 94 feet, crossover bodies dropping J's up. Players this elite, your shots on body.
What's up, everybody? This is Danny Thompson with AroundTheAssociation.com, and this is the Around the Association Weekend Edition of the podcast. So it's Friday, April 5th, 2019, and this podcast will be dedicated to everything about the NBA Eastern Conference playoff race. And I do say the Eastern Conference playoff race. I know we talk a lot about the Western Conference as well, too, but the Western Conference, all 8 teams are all set. They're all worried about positioning. There's some games in the Western Conference that will be talked about later on the website. Going on the West that have significant meetings when it comes to seeding. In the Eastern Conference, only 5 teams are set, and the other 3 spots are up for grabs. On Friday night, so we're down to, let's give you a quick story. There's a few teams left in the playoffs in the East. Right now, Detroit is sitting in 6, Brooklyn's sitting at 7, Orlando's sitting at 8, Miami's sitting at 9, and the Charlotte Hornets are clinging to life at 10. So, as of right now, this is a podcast we recorded earlier on Friday morning. The standings shape like this: Detroit's at 6, Brooklyn's a half game. Brooklyn and Orlando are both tied with the same record. Brooklyn owns the tiebreaker, so Brooklyn's at 7, Orlando's at 8. Orlando is a half game in front of Miami. Orlando owns tiebreaker over Miami, and Charlotte is 2.5 games back, and the time is really ticking on them. So, if you look at the games on Friday night, everybody's in action but the Brooklyn Nets. So as far as the actual number of games being played, after tonight, Orlando and Miami will have an additional, I think was the game, now a full 2 games in front of Brooklyn, who play on Saturday. And like I said, Detroit would be even with Brooklyn on number of games played. And Charlotte, I think Charlotte has, 2 or 3 games left on their schedule. So let's break down each of the games on this weekend. Friday night in Charlotte, it's just this simple for the Hornets. If they win, they still can stay alive, but they're still going to need a lot of help. They're taking on a Toronto Raptors team at home on Friday night. And what does this mean for the Raptors? Really, after last night with Milwaukee clinching the top overall seed in the Eastern Conference, this could be a rest game for the Raptors. Listen, the Raptors have nothing to play for at this point. They're not going to catch the top overall seed. They're not going to fall to 3. The Raptors could rest guys like Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam, maybe even Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, a lot of the veterans, Marc Gasol. There could be some resting site going on in Charlotte. And on the Charlotte side of things, it could be the final days of Kemba Walker as a Charlotte Hornet. We don't know what's going on with Kemba Walker's situation because we haven't gotten to the summer yet. But if they want to extend their season tonight, somebody has to score other than Kemba Walker. Jeremy Lamb, Dwayne Bacon, Marvin Williams, Miles Bridges. Somebody has to help Kemba Walker score points. We saw him score 47 on Monday night against Utah. He scored 37 the other night in their victory. Against New Orleans. Kemba needs help. They've got to give him some kind of scoring help tonight. The bench has to do well. Bacon has to come up huge. Lamb, somebody has to give Kemba an additional 20-point game to help the Hornets in what little playoff hopes they have left. Now, down here in Orlando, the Orlando Magic will take on the Atlanta Hawks tonight. I'll be at the game tonight. In Orlando's case, it's basically you control your own destiny. Remember, you own the tiebreaker over the Miami Heat, so no matter what happens with you and the Heat, as long as you tie, you are ahead of them and you win the division. That's all you worry about. But if you're trying to avoid the Bucks and the Raptors, you have to win almost every game going forward out the door. And also possibly get a little bit of help from teams playing against Detroit and against Brooklyn. Okay, so at this point, Tonight's game against Atlanta is a must-win. If they're going to get any type of playoff spot, you cannot lose this game tonight. Or Atlanta's been playing some good basketball behind Trae Young. Once again, Young is just putting up big numbers. John Collins. Now, on the other side of things, you don't know. Dwayne Dedmon is now officially he's out for the last couple games. You're not sure about the health of Taurean Prince. And Atlanta's not exactly the deepest team in the league, but you can also not underplay the Atlanta Hawks. If the Magic win, they basically put another step forward when it comes to controlling their own destiny in the Eastern Conference playoff race. The Miami Heat, who now just lost Josh Richardson for the remaining part of the regular season, will go to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Heat at 38-40, like I said, are tied with the Magic, are a half game behind the Magic right now and need every bit of help because remember, they own no tiebreakers. And they're one game behind in the total games played, but remember, they do have a back-to-back on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week to close the season out. It's really simple for Miami. You're going to need to win. It's just that simple. Miami cannot lose another game like Charlotte, like Orlando in front of them. They cannot lose any other games going forward. They cannot. Miami has to pull up big. It's going to be Justice Winslow. It's going to have to be Rodney McGruder, Dion Waiters. Somebody has to fill the void of Josh Richardson. I like to see Jordan Dragic back on the line tonight, putting Winslow back at the 3 to give them some kind of firepower in the wing, especially with the way Winslow has been creating shots, Dragic knocking down them shots, Dion Waiters scoring at a high level since he's been back. You know, you're going to get Hassan Whiteside signing tonight, and really for Miami, it's not letting Karl-Anthony Towns kill them because Towns has been just killing people down the stretch in the second half of the season while Minnesota, is missing the playoffs. But Karl-Anthony Towns has a lot to play for, including that third-team All-NBA spot, which also increases his paycheck. The last game of the teams that are fighting for the playoffs in the East tonight that goes on will be down in Oklahoma City as the Detroit Pistons take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. When normally Blake Griffin goes home, it's always a Blake Griffin homecoming game. The former Oklahoma star has a chance to come home. Well, now it's a huge game for the Pistons, and Griffin might not play because he still has left knee soreness. If Griffin misses a fourth consecutive game, the Pistons are in serious trouble once again. The Thunder, after having such an emotional high the other night when in Russell Westbrook's 2020-21 game, I say 21 because they had 21 assists in that game, they're coming off the emotional high. They need every win possible. In the Western Conference standings, they're fighting with the Spurs as they're trying to move up in the standings. Also, at the same time, they don't want to play the Golden State Warriors in round one. As much as Russell Westbrook's a competitor, nobody wants to play the Golden State Warriors in round one. And only being a half game up, a simple loss can put them down. Remember, they're only a game and a half out of 6, and that will get them to Houston Rockets, which would be a firepower and a good series. Either way, the Denver Nuggets is not a bad matchup. The Pistons have to win. If they lose tonight and the Magic win, guess what? You get leapfrogged in the standings, and you're playing yourself right into a danger point because you'll be tied with Brooklyn as the schedule dwindles down. The Nets are actually off tonight. The Nets will play again on Saturday as they take on the Milwaukee Bucks. The difference between the first game that happened on Monday and tonight's game, and tomorrow night's game, is that there's a good chance this team will not see Giannis. Giannis Antetokounmpo could be held out due to rest to make sure that ankle is going to be fine for the playoffs that starts the following week. The Nets could catch a humongous break on the road if they decide to rest Giannis. And really, at this point, I'm not sure if the Bucks even have any reason to play Giannis. The Nets have a chance, like I said, to load off on the East, like the potential MVP of the league on Saturday night. Now, Sunday is much more of, like I said, of an elimination day as well, too. The early game, we get up early. Most people get up early coming home from church or whatever you have, brunch, or whatever you plan Sunday morning. Raptors play Heat. If the Heat somehow lose this game, the Heat could pretty much be eliminated on Sunday afternoon in Toronto. The Heat could be in the same situation that the Hornets are in tonight in Charlotte because the Raptors have nothing to play for. It's really much getting a lot of reps and getting guys to stay healthy. The Heat could catch a break, play resting a team full of guys that are getting ready for the playoffs, especially a lot of their veterans. Sunday afternoon, Pistons take on the Hornets. It's another one of those games. Now, mind you, Charlotte could be eliminated at this point. If Miami and Orlando both win Friday night, Charlotte is eliminated no matter what happens on the scoreboard. So, of course, Hornets will be scoreboard watching. Like I said, they're going back to take on the Pistons. The Pistons have won, 11 of the last 12. They lost to Indiana on Wednesday night at home, but they've won 11 of the last 12 at home at Little Caesars Arena. It's really just simple. Like I said, the Hornets are still alive. They still have to win. Otherwise, they can play spoiler for the Pistons and help out their fellow Southeast Division team help by the Orlando Magic. Now, Sunday afternoon, Nets take on the Pacers. It is a back-to-back for the Nets. Once again, the Nets have to go to Indiana. Indiana might not know their situation because they play a huge game Friday night against the Boston Celtics at home. If they win, this is a game that needs to carry momentum because Indiana needs home court against the Celtics in any type of series because any advantage helps. Sunday night, the Magic take on the Celtics. Once again, one of those games where you don't know what the Celtics are going to do because if the Celtics win Friday, they could be a potential rest mode. The Celtics also don't want to play a Game 7 in Indianapolis, so whatever the outcome is on Friday night, the Magic could have to play a Boston team that can have all their starters. So the next 48 hours in the NBA is going to be very interesting, especially in the Eastern Conference side of things because, like I said, it's all in the air. So let's give a synopsis of what we've talked about this on playoff 101, Eastern Conference playoff 101. It's this simple. The Detroit Pistons play 2 games over the weekend. They play in Oklahoma City on Friday, and they play at home for Charlotte on Sunday. The positives is Detroit has won 11 of the last 12 at home. The negative is Blake Griffin still has knee soreness. If Griffin were to miss one or both games, the Detroit Pistons could lose both those games. And if they lose both those games, the Pistons will free fall themselves right down the ladder in the Eastern Conference. The Pistons record right now is at 38. Pistons are at 500 right now, 39-39. Falling to 39-41 puts them in that danger spot of potentially missing the playoffs. So the 7th-seeded Brooklyn Nets will play a back-to-back starting tomorrow in Milwaukee, and they play Sunday in Indiana. It's real simple. The Nets who've been playing really good basketball most of the season, they're in a situation where they do not want to play the Milwaukee Bucks again. As we saw Monday night, they don't match up very well against Giannis. They don't have too many guys who can guard him. But if the Nets can win both these games, they can get themselves back to 6. 6 puts them in a really good matchup with Philadelphia, a team that's way more top heavy than balance heavy. The Nets have a thing. They're going to play 2 teams. Well, one team on Saturday is going to be resting players more likely, and a team in Indiana Sunday who's hungry to keep their spots. Orlando's at 8. Orlando has the kind of the easier of the weekends compared to anybody else. Why? The Magic play the Atlanta Hawks at home on Friday, and then they play in Boston on Sunday. Remember, it's all about keeping guys healthy. The Celtics are all about keeping guys healthy. They're also going to be scoreboard watching because the Celtics win. They have the upper hand on the Pacers, so it could be the Celtics could be resting guys getting ready for the playoffs because they own the tiebreaker over Indiana, and at the same time, they want to make sure guys like Kyrie Irving and Al Horford and Gordon Hayward will be ready to go for the playoffs next weekend. Well, the Miami Heat will play on Friday and Sunday in Minnesota and also at home in Toronto. The Timberwolves are not making the playoffs, so the Heat might have a chance. But here's the problem. The Heat don't have Josh Richardson. Richardson's out. The Heat have to win tonight because they do not control their own destiny because they end up with a tie with Orlando. Remember, Orlando does own the tiebreaker. They're going to need help from a team beating the Magic over the next 72 hours. Okay? It's this simple. If they lose one or both of the games, the Heat's Dwayne Wade will not get a final dance, one last dance in the playoffs. And I think the fairy tale ending would be for Wade to get into the playoffs. Well, last but not least, the Charlotte Hornets is real simple. Any loss eliminates them. Any combination of Orlando and Miami winning Friday together eliminates them. More likely, the same scenario could happen on Sunday if they win. Orlando and Miami win Sunday, they're eliminated. It's just that simple. The Hornets have to win both games, and they're going to have to get teams to give them help. The Charlotte Hornets are the biggest fans of the Toronto Raptors, as well as the Milwaukee Bucks, also the Atlanta Hawks, and the Boston Celtics, and the Indiana Pacers. They are fans of anybody, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Anybody that is taking on any of the playoff teams in front of them, they're fans of. Also, on Sunday, they have to play the Pistons, so they can gain a full game on the Pistons if they win Sunday. The Hornets need all the help possible, and they're going to start needing teams to lose. So, follow me on Twitter at Danny3Thompson. Also, around the association, the Facebook page will be doing live tonight with Steve Clifford, and also we'll probably have a little bit for Larry Pierce tonight. We'll have post-game interviews. We'll try to catch up with a couple of guys from both of the teams and also give you a post-game report. Also, follow the podcast, subscribe to it. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. It's on Spreaker. Listen, it's a simple click, follow. You're not even paying for this podcast. And also, it's something that you can listen to in a 15-minute break situation. Also, we have articles coming out on the website as we close to the playoffs. So, this is Around the Association, the podcast. We'll catch you guys over the weekend, actually. Or actually catch you guys later on tonight, which is Friday night, on the lives, everywhere you go. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys on Monday for the podcast. Peace.
Fresh. CJ. Yeah, what we talking about? 94 feet, crossover bodies dropping J's up. Players this elite, your shots on body blocking halftime. We break it down, we gon' call your bluff, it's past time. You recognize, we got the heat down in Florida with the keys. Guess we the best, magic, we flash with them fans listen, won't see the best. Show rise from the airwaves like all stars in them stairways. Local rockin', we not stopping, got hot topics like every day. Them trades hit that deadline, my team chasing the big range, we ball, check that headline. Don't mess it up when you pick teams, the only station giving y'all that info with that real talk. Don't be trying to contest it, go toe to toe and get wheeled off. We shooting from deeper than that report from the bleachers. If you ain't on your game, then we got something to teach you. Tie your laces up, might get shook up out of them sneakers. That triple threat, bless your eardrum straight out of your speakers. Go from that black top to the hardwood, locker room to that press day. Got the scoop on them contracts, new prospects and best plays.